Our next speaker is Dr. Y.R. Ramesh Kumar, retired as programmer, head department of computer science, University of Arts and Science College, Kakatiya University, Telangana, India. Presently, he is working as an assistant professor, Department of CSE and Artificial Intelligence in SR University, Warangal, Telangana, India. He has 21 years of teaching experience and 8 years of industrial experience. He has published some research papers and articles in leading national and international journals like International Journal of Science and Technology and Scopex Indus journals. And his current research interest is data mining and big data. He attended and organized many workshops and seminars and refreshers courses. We are very glad to have you, sir. I'm handovering this section to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My specific requirement here is in terms of speaking on this publishing research articles. So I have a small preparation that has been made there. So I'll be sharing this particular article. Hope this presentation is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, to come to the point of publishing research articles in high impact journals. In the meantime, I would like to say that the people who are taking up academics have went on increasing for the last 5 to 10 years, whatever may be the reasons. But if you want to make career in academics, you need to have research aptitude. That is one of the most important aspects. So for research to be done, obvious that you need to have publications that do in high impact journals, so that your contribution is recognized by the public. So in order to do this, many of the young research scholars have doubts in their mind of exactly this has to be done. What is the mechanism? Am I really capable of writing a research publication? So several things. First thing is, how exactly I can identify a problem? Am I able to identify the right problem? So these are all the things that come into their mind. So my talk today is about identifying a particular problem, how exactly you can identify, and then how do you convert that into a research article, which can be probably published into high impact journals. First thing then we have to know is that if you want to publish, you need to have this kind of aptitude for identifying problems. You need to have interest in research. So if you have the interest in research, getting that a given particular problem, converting into a proper research article and then publishing into a journal is not a big problem. And in today's environment, there are quite many journals. And though top tier journals are very few, very limited, the number of papers that are coming for publication is going on increasing day by day. Now the question is, for these people or these top tier journals to identify which particular paper is publishable, how good they are. So there is no specific magic wand which we can make so that your paper can be acceptable. There should be some magic in the paper itself. So in order to see that what you can do so that your research paper can be published in high impact journal is what we will be looking at. So let us start with some of the factors. One of the factor would be this: your study needs to solve a big and relevant problem. When we say relevant problem here, basically in terms of social sciences and other sciences, maybe there are several things which are relevant for the society. So obviously there are several problems which you can identify very easily. But in the case of technical things, identifying a relevant problem is one of the major issues. Okay. But still, you can look around yourself in your research area where you can find several problems. Okay. Not only in your area, it could be slightly different area, some technical problem. You have identified that as a problem. Then you need to take that particular problem and see what you can do with that. Can you think differently about that particular problem? Can you give some kind of different solution to the problem? Is what you need to look at. Once you have thought about it, you can discuss that with your friends and present to them. And friends, I mean here are the people who can take what you talk about without any prejudice and give their feedback in a proper way. Okay. So let us look at how to identify a problem here. Though we are saying look around yourself to find a problem, you can always look around. Like for example, 5 to 6 years back in Telangana, one of the major problem was power. Power issue was one of the major things. Then some colonies you have high voltages coming up, and some colonies they don't have the power at all. Like that, there are several problems. Suddenly there is a burst of energy, and many of the TVs and other things used to burn away in the homes and all this. Okay. And at that time, then I thought, can we give any particular solution to this particular problem? Then I thought, why not there could be some kind of mechanism which can identify what is the need of a given particular colony in terms of power usage, and then identify or supply only that amount of power supply to it. So today you have very intelligent grids now. Okay, I came to know about several things, several developments that have come up in that particular area. But at that particular time, I was thinking about it. Now, today, we can also add on something more to it. That's what we mean by adding something to that so that the problem can be recognized in a different way, like AI-based solution. Can I have an artificial intelligence mechanism which identifies each colony's requirement at each hour, and then basically based on the kind of data that is available to it, can we predict the possibility of a given particular requirement on a particular time? And based on that, is there a possibility that the grid can supply the power to that particular area? So these are the things which we can add. So what we mean, it could be, somebody may feel that it could be foolish. Doesn't matter. But it's an idea. So think about that particular idea. Try to develop that particular idea so that you have relevance to that particular problem. If you feel that it is relevant, then you can always add something more to it. Research on that particular area. Go through the people who know about that particular problem. Try to explain your idea to them. Then they may give some more inputs to you, wherein you can prune up your problem in a better way. That's how you come out with a particular problem. And then in any particular research area, bringing out any particular problem into your idea is what is more important. That is what is more relevant also nowadays. Many of the people think in a different way. Like if I say my area of interest is only databases, big data and all that, data mining and all that, I'm not restricted only to that particular area. I always try to look at a particular problem, try to look at what could be the data that can be generated there, and how best I can use that particular data so that some particular problem can be solved in that particular area. That is what has to be looked at. So in terms of identifying a problem, do not restrict yourself to only your area of research. Whatever may be the problem, bring into your area of research. Try to find a solution in your area of research. How best you can solve. If you think of your area can be added or can be given a particular solution to the specific problem. So that's how you can identify any particular problem. So problems, when we say for any particular research article to be published, you don't need to look at only the theoretical problems or technical problems that are available within your particular area. There may be several things. Okay, if you have identified a problem in your area of technical area of interest, that becomes a very big thing, solution to several things probably. But start with when you look at trying to publish a particular problem. Okay, your problem area need not necessarily be the problem of your research area. Okay, it could be any particular problem. So take up that particular problem, try to apply your research area to that particular problem, try to find out something to that. Okay, that's what you can do. It could be a general problem also. But if you want to publish a paper in high impact journals, obviously it should be, because we are talking about technical things, because I come from computer science, so I'm looking at a problem in that particular way. Maybe in social sciences and other areas of interest, it could be something different. Okay, in the social area, social sciences, probably like let us say sociology as a subject, you may be looking at a problem associated with everyday in the society, which can be thought of as a problem and try to identify a solution for it. Okay, so identifying a problem is one of the major things. But once you have identified, can you bring that particular problem into your area of interest and give a solution to that particular problem based on your thinking on your area? Okay, that's what basically matters. So when we say one of the most important thing about it is to study needs to solve a big and relevant problems. Your study should be in terms of applying any particular problem and bringing it to your area, giving a relevant solution to that particular problem. Okay?
Excuse me, sir.
Ah.
Yeah, sorry for the interruption. I think your slide is not moving.
Slide is not visible?
It's not moving, sir. It's still in first slide.
Yeah, I'm not informed. I've moved to the next slide now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I've kept the slide and I'm discussing on the first line, which is basically the tip I am thinking of to be given to you. Okay?
Sir, sorry, thank you.
Right. In this slide, I have given the next tip. Your research needs to be robust. Okay? What do we exactly mean by robust? Okay, robust in the sense it should be comprehensive. If you have identified a particular problem, okay, now you need to look at the solutions associated with whatever the research area you are looking at, and that solution should be in such a way that it should be able to give an appropriate solution to the problem. Okay, and any particular journal, if you look at the high impact journals, they will be looking at for studies with findings that are corroborated, that is comprehensive. Okay, using different relevant methods, relevant areas, and all that. Like as I talked about, if I am talking about a problem of power distribution, okay, when I think of writing a paper on that particular problem, I need to basically look at am I able to identify the problem in a proper way or not? That is what is relevant. So I need to look at that particular problem in the perspective of electrical and electronics people. Okay, I need to sit with them, try to identify what is the mechanism actually that goes on in distributing the power throughout, and how exactly this particular problem arises, why exactly it arises. Are there any solutions they are trying to identify, or have they identified this particular problem at all? Okay, if they have identified, what are the kind of solutions they are giving? Is the solutions comprehensively met, or are there any backlogs in that? So these things have to be looked at. Okay, so when you are trying to pick up a particular problem, identify it, then bringing that particular problem into your area of interest, and when you are trying to give a solution to that particular problem, you need to look at the comprehensive mechanism through which you can give a solution. Okay, obviously there will be collaborative mechanisms that are needed. Because if I say I'm talking about an artificial intelligence mechanism to control the power distribution, so I'm talking about a very highly what you call intelligent power distribution network. So in this case, we need to look at what is the without any artificial intelligence mechanism, what is the mechanism that is actually existing? Okay, how they are using it. Then the question is, can I have a sensor mechanism through which I can identify what is the usage in a particular colony or a given particular lane or in a given particular house? Then can I have the data being comprehensively used in such a way that I can have a prediction wherein I can make a prediction for 5 years how exactly this particular colony is going to be increasing or expanding, and what will be the need of that particular colony over a period of time. So these are the things which we will be looking at when we say it is a comprehensive mechanism. So your solution, when you are trying to identify, you need to look at that. Okay. Now, another point here is, if you have seen an effect, check whether it works with the different methods or not. That is also important. So you have identified some particular solution to a particular area of interest. Then if it is a generalized problem, if I generalize that, okay, if I am taking the problem in a, usually when you look at a particular problem, it appears as a simple problem. But when it is generalized, it may become a more comprehensive and more complex problem. So where collaborative mechanisms are needed in order to solve the problem. So when you are looking at a problem in a smaller way, okay, the solution could be a simple one. But when you apply that, when you want to apply that particular problem in a broader sense, obviously you need to apply different methods. Okay, several methods you have to apply, several systems you may have to use. So what are the relevant systems that you need to use? What are the parameters that you need to look at? Okay, these are very important things when you try to look at a particular problem, when you are trying to write a research article. Okay, so relevant parameters you have to identify. That is again one of the important. Okay, then in most of the journals, what happens is they have a specific aim and scope for desired research articles for that particular journal. So you need to look at whether your scope of work matches with the scope of the journal or not. Okay, only in the relevant scope journals you can they will be able to accept your article. Otherwise, obvious that they will not be able to accept it, because their aim of looking at that particular problem or your relevant problem may not be matching their scope at all. So that has to be looked at. Okay, that is your next thing. Now let us look at the other thing. You need to tell a story. And when you are writing a research article, okay, most of the research articles, when I see it, okay, they don't have an idea about how they are writing it. Most of the research scholars, they come with an entire paper. And they say, sir, please go through it and try to tell us what are the problems in it. We know about an article being written in a particular manner, a structure. Okay, every journal has its own structure, but a general mechanism is always to you represent the abstract, then you represent the introduction, then you represent the literature survey, whatever the survey you have done, whatever you have done, and then you try to represent your problem, and then the solution, then the entire solution being, or the entire thing being basically being represented in a comprehensive way. Okay, then maybe extension of the work, what you can further do on that particular problem and all. So there is a specific structure when you're writing it. Okay, but this structure when you are writing it, okay, somebody when you are reading it, right from the first sentence onwards, okay, as you read, it should make you to article should make you to continue with reading. Okay, it should not be boring. When you read 2 or 3 sentences, you say, okay, this article is not up to the mark, because we know that something which you are trying to tell is not clear there. Okay, that's what we mean by telling a story. So whatever you are trying to write it as a research article, you should know that it should be specified in such a way that you have to have interest in the people who are reading your article. Okay, so that is what we mean by telling a story. So what you have to do, simple thing, you make it easy for your readers to understand what you are talking about, what exactly you want to tell them. Okay, make it very simple. Even though you are writing a technical paper, okay, the technical paper doesn't mean that you hide everything in the complexity of mathematics or some science and all. Okay, you need not do it. You can specify everything, okay, so that anybody should be able to understand. Okay, and the other thing is, if you incorporate the central message, what exactly you want to tell, and what is the problem, what is the solution for it, and what are the implications in your article. Okay, if you talk about these things in a proper way, the reader will be able to understand your research easily. Okay, and obviously it becomes very compelling when you give that particular article, and even the editors of the journals will be very easily attract towards your article. Okay, so basic idea is how you present your article, okay, in a proper way. One of the most important thing when you are presenting a article, especially in the case of science and science journals is, or technical journals is, that it should be point-wise. Okay, everything you have to represent in the form of a point. Okay, you have a problem, like in computer science we say, you have a problem, you try to write a solution for that particular problem. Okay, in the form of an algorithm. When you are writing the solution to that particular problem in the form of an algorithm, there are steps when you are representing. In these particular steps are in a particular order. If you miss that particular order, the solution to the problem is not proper. Same is the case here. Okay, when you are representing your research article, okay, the way you need to represent your article is very important. And while you are presenting, okay, each of the point, whatever the points you are writing, put them in a proper way. You want to talk about something, separate that as a paragraph, separate paragraph, talk about it. Okay, don't try to write everything in a one single paragraph. Okay, if you are bringing an introduction, let us say, what do you do? Usually, whenever you choose a particular problem, the introduction to the problem is in terms of area. So you write the area in one particular paragraph. Then, what is we are talking about problem area, not the general area. Okay? So problem area, you are trying to write it. What is the problem? Then you talk about what the problem that you think is in this particular article. Okay, what is the problem you are trying to represent, and what is the first one would be a generalized one in terms of that particular problem area, in terms of introduction. The second paragraph would be in terms of the area of what you are talking about. Okay, if specific to your problem, whatever you are talking about. Okay, like that, whatever you are trying to talk about, okay, in terms of, again, similarly, within the introduction, if you are talking about the different types of solutions that are given by the different people, you may represent it. Okay. Then again, when you are writing the survey, literature survey part of it, okay, many of the articles I have seen, they write it in a single paragraph, starting from the first line to the last line, maybe 1-2 pages straight away. Some people reference that particular author, some people do not reference it all. Okay, it's always better these research articles, whatever articles you have read, and you want to present it as the literature survey here, you group them, categorize them. Okay, how you can categorize? Based on the type of problem you are looking at. Okay, categorize them. Then each of the category you separately represent in the paragraphs. Okay, and when you are representing again the same way, either you represent the problem specific category initially, or generalized problems things in the beginning. Okay, whatever way you want. Okay, most of the journals, high impact journals, look at the problem that you are presenting. So they would like to, any editor would like to look at the first few sentences and try to identify whether you are in the same or whether you are trying to talk about what you want to represent it in a proper way or in the specific order or not. So that they will be looking at. Okay. So when you do these things in a proper way, the central message, problem, solution, and the implications of your particular problem, okay, in your article, you are comprehensively covering everything in your article. And while you are doing that, your presentation matters. So presentation, always remember, nobody would like to, especially in terms of technical areas, nobody would like to read a huge paragraph. Okay, break up the paragraphs or break up this entire matter into small paragraphs, simple things. Okay, each of the paragraphs specifically talking about a particular thing which you want to specify. Okay, so this, when you do it, you are actually telling a proper story. Okay, and you have to give them context and meaning, not just the facts, not just facts. Okay, what is the context in which you are talking about in terms of that particular thing? And what is the meaning associated with what you are talking about? Both have to be clear in your article. Okay, simply saying that certain figures you represent or some sentences you write it, copy or mentioning somebody's thing is not relevant. Okay, what is the relevance of that particular sentence which you are using in your paper is very important. That's what we mean by context. What is the context under which you have used that particular sentence, and what is the meaning associated with that particular thing is what is meant. Okay, so represent your article in such a way that you are telling a story rather than talking about something which user gets bored at when he is reading. Okay. Then we have another thing, another important thing. Yeah.
So sorry to interrupt. The screen still is in first screen, so
It's in first screen.
it's not. Slides are not coming on the main screen, sir.
Sir, the audio
Are you
is
able
not
to see?
clear.
Audio is not clear. Is it clear now?
Audio is clear, sir. The screen
Yes, sir.
is still is the first screen, the first slide.
First slide is not.
Are you seeing the second one now?
Yes.
No,
No.
sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
No.
Some of them are seeing, or none of them are seeing.
Please share the screen.
Are you able to see now the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank
Yes,
you.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think it needs to be refreshed. I don't know why the is. Anyway, that
Thank
was.
you. Thank you.
Is it changing now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Has it changed now again? Research needs to be robust. We have talked about.
I think it must be next slide, sir. It ends with, let us look at some of them. There's no magic. That's a slide we are able to see. I think it must be next slide, what you're speaking now.
No, I went to the fifth slide. I went up to fifth slide. This is the second slide, getting published in the top journals and all that. And your study needs to solve a big and relevant problem is the third slide, which I have looked at.
Yeah, next one. I think it's for.
This way you are able to see it.
Yes, sir. I will see.
Aim and scope section of your design. That's we can. Yes, sir.
You are able to see this slide now. Your research needs to be robust.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
then
Thank you.
I will not go to the slideshow. I'll simply take these slides straight away. Okay. Yeah, this is what I have talked about. You need to tell a story. Is what I have talked about until now. Okay. So when you are writing your paper, your research article, if you want to publish in a very big, high impact journals and all that, this is what is needed. You need to tell them a story. The way you want to tell a story to a child, you need to be very clear about what you are talking to them. So in terms of the central message, the problem, solution, and the implication, your articles are what is needed to be talked about, okay, in a proper way. So while you are talking about all these things, again, I told you already. So when you are representing each of them, except for the abstract when you are writing it, okay, you may be writing the abstract only as a single paragraph, because most of the times there is a limitation in terms of how many words you have to use for the abstract and all. Okay, so you have to have that because of that limitation, you may be representing it as a single paragraph. But when you are coming to the intersection and other central messages that you are trying to represent, okay, do not represent it as a single paragraph. Try to break that into several paragraphs. Okay, each of the paragraphs, not because you want to divide it and you simply divide it for the sake of dividing it into paragraphs. Each of your paragraphs should be able to tell something, okay, to the reader. So the reader should be able to identify what exactly you are trying to tell them. That is what is important here. Okay. So now let us look to the other one. You need figures that your readers can grasp quickly. Okay, there is a saying, figures talk a lot when it comes to the words. Okay, so words are lengthy in terms of what you are trying to tell, but when you represent it in the form of a figure, okay, people will be able to grasp things very easily. Okay, and these figures, most of the research articles I see, if you compare yourself, if you go through the research journals, high impact journals and the normal journals, you will find that most of the high impact journals, a research article will contain at least 4 to 5 figures there. Okay? Comprehensively telling us the entire idea about what that particular article is about. Okay? That's what is very important. So your figures, whatever you are representing the figures, that should be heart of your paper. Okay? It should be able to display what exactly the problem is and the solution you are trying to find out. Okay, it should be able to identify, or it should tell us what are your findings in terms of that particular problem. Okay? These are the things which are needed to be looked at. So as much as possible, you try to identify these things. Okay? And if it is science article, obvious that you need to do some kind of experimentation and all that. So based on the experiments and or if it is your programming and all that, obvious that in the technical side you have to write those programs. Or if it is a other area where IT-based services or something that you are trying to represent, there should be some kind of graphs or figures which comprehensively tell about what exactly you are trying to represent in that particular paper. Okay, and most of the editors, they look at these figures to try to identify or to try to understand what exactly you are trying to tell them. Okay, and remember these figures have to be of your own. Okay, do not copy paste from somebody and try to represent them. Okay, however simple or however small your figure would be, doesn't matter. So try to create a figure to your relevant subject, okay, the research subject which you are trying. Okay, and then if there are some tables to be displayed and all those things, when you are representing a table, remember that the table should not just represent only the values there. Okay, the caption should give an idea about what exactly that table represents, what exactly it is. Okay, each of the columns should also tell. You should name it properly so that the reader understands what is the figure which you have taken. And many of the tables, when I have looked at many of the articles, they simply represent the X, Y, Z. What exactly X means, what exactly Y means, they might have given in the above paragraph or the below paragraph. But nobody has the patience to look at and go through that particular paragraph in order to understand your table. Okay, so it's better always to give as much information as possible so that your table is easily understood by the reader. Okay, so that is what is one of the important things. Then another thing is cluttering in the sense that you represent it in a zigzag way. Okay, inconsistent color coding or too much data or the wrong plot type can turn your reader off. Okay, he will not be continuing it. So if you're, as I said earlier, when the editor of the journal is going through your research article, okay, he should be able to understand what you want to tell. It should be simple. Okay, if he would like to be interested in reading further, that is what you have to, your paper has to make. If you are unable to do that, obviously the editor stops maybe in the first paragraph itself and then say this is not a proper thing. Okay. And many a times that's what happens. Remember, editors of the journals do not have too much time in order to go through your entire content. Okay, usually they try to decide based on when it usually comes to selecting the papers among thousands of papers they receive in every month. It's obvious that in the first look, when they look at it, should be interesting. If the first look of your paper itself is not interesting, it will not go further. So it will be at the desk itself, it will get rejected. Okay. Most of the times, the final editing is done by the people who are experts in that particular area. Okay, in the first two stages of editing, in the first stage of editing, most of the times the papers are given to the people who simply go through the reading and have a look at whether it is really worth it or not. So they usually decide, but though they may not be experts. So here the idea is to make those people read your paper. That is what is important. You may be thinking that you have written your paper in a proper way. Your paper has a lot of research, a lot of information, a lot of things that are needed for the society and all that, or research scholars in general. But if it is not readable in the sense the research article is not so interesting that somebody is interested in reading. Okay, that's where you have to make it readable. Okay, that's readability increases only by including all these things. Okay, so cluttering, inconsistent coloring, color coding unnecessarily. Some people use color coding there. Okay, and they put too much of data into it, and most of the times what happens is the plot changes. You start talking about something in your problem, and suddenly in the next sentence the continuity loses. Okay, continuity is gone. You don't have the continuity for the problem. Okay, that's why in the previous slide I said it should be something like a storytelling. While you are telling a story, if the continuity is missed, you don't know what is happening, and there is every possibility you are not interested further in that particular story. Okay, so the continuity is very important. So if your plot of telling something is not in a proper order, that's why I use the example algorithm. Okay, when you are writing an algorithm, you are representing the solution to the problem in a proper way, step by step. First step, what is to be done. Second step, what is to be done. You can't change these steps. Okay, if you change the steps, the problem doesn't get the solution. So if you want to have the solution in a proper way, the steps have to be in a proper order. And that's what you need to look at while you are writing your article. Okay. Then your writing needs to be clear and concise. Do not think of writing the paper in terms of 20 pages, 30 pages, 14 pages, 15 pages. Most of the journals, they restrict in terms of representing your article to certain number of pages, 3 pages or 4 pages. Okay. Why do they do that? It's basically not that they don't want to publish or the cost of the publication is very high, and they are publishing 100 pages journal. Another 10 pages or 20 pages is not a big issue at all. The cost doesn't increase so much. The idea here is that when you are writing an article, if you are going on writing something, okay, going away from your problem and try to bring in something which is relevant to that particular problem and all that, obviously the number of pages goes on increasing. Okay, most of the people do that. Don't do that. Okay, it has to be. You have to be very clear about what your problem is, and you stick on to your problem, what exactly you are talking about. Okay, and it should be concise. Don't beat around the bush. Try to represent whatever you are thought about in a proper way, in few sentences. Okay, that's where we mean by effectively communicating your idea. Okay, that is, maybe people may say it is a writing skill that is needed to be done. Okay, obviously that you need to have the writing skill, but representing, you yourself will know. As I told you, when you are talking about the story, there should not be anything that deviates from the plot of the story. So when you don't deviate it, obviously it becomes very clear and concise. Okay, always remember, when you are writing a particular article, and if somebody says your article is very good, it is very clear and very concise. Only then it will be good. Otherwise, nobody will say that your paper is good. So try to be very clear about your writing. Okay? It should be always concise. Don't try to stick to, it's the journal says that 4 pages is your limit. So don't think that you have to write the article for 4 pages. Not necessary. Your article may be only 2 pages. But if your research idea is, the problem idea is so good, everybody will read even your 2 pages of article. Okay, and I don't know, in IITs and NITs in India, okay, when research is done, most of the courses tell us that your research thesis should not be more than 100 pages. Okay, and I see in many of the universities people publishing 300 pages, 400 pages thesis. They tell us the same thing. Your writing should be clear and concise. Your thesis should be clear and concise. That is what your idea should be. Even for your paper writing. And remember, if it is a good paper, it is always concise. It will not go beyond whatever the limit usually the journals ask for. Okay. Then, if you have written your paper, first draft you have made. First draft in the sense, you have an idea, you write your abstract, you write your introduction, then you write your survey of literature, then you write your problem, then you write your solution, then conclusions, okay, and maybe further research and all that, whatever the ordering, this is the order in which you will be writing. Obviously, when you are writing all this, okay, if you have completed all this, thinking that I have completed everything, don't try to go through that or restrict yourself for that particular idea which you have got it in the first time. Okay, as I told you, your entire research, the problem solution should be comprehensive. Okay, you should be able to look at what are all the other areas which probably may have to be looked at in this particular problem, so that my research article is very effective. So edit your paper after writing, okay, whatever you have written. Then look for if there is anything that you have repeated, something, some particular idea you have written in a first paragraph, somewhere in the third paragraph, again the same idea you thought it as you have not written and again repeated it. So if that particular repetition comes in, okay, obviously the reader will always think that you have already represented something and just increase your article pages, you are repeating the same. So you avoid that. When you do that, when without any repetition, when you represent your idea in your article, okay, the reader will be very much impressed when you are when he is looking at it. Okay. And then while you are reading it, analyze each and every sentence, each and every word. Is it necessary? Is that particular sentence in your paper is necessary? Or ask yourself, am I telling something by writing this particular line or not? If you are not telling anything or any particular idea which you have already talked about, by writing that particular sentence, remove that. Don't write it. Clear it off. So that's where your concise paper comes. Okay. very clear and concise paper comes in when you remove the repetition and you analyze each and every sentence, analyze properly each and every word also, so that you one question yourself whether whatever you are trying to represent, okay, is it clear or not? Then convey your narrative clearly. Whatever you want to convey to the reader in terms of that particular article, okay, it should be the narrative of that particular article should be very clear. Okay, narrative in the sense how exactly you are telling that particular story without missing any particular plot. So if that particular plot is not missed, and if your narrative is very clear, obviously you have used, you have written your paper very concisely. Okay. And while you are doing that, obviously terminology and right verb tense is also important. Most of the research journals, okay, if we are talking about the high impact journals, the editors will be looking at your verb tenses. Okay, somewhere you use the present tense, somewhere you use past tense, somewhere again you talk in terms of first person, somewhere you talk about second person, somewhere you talk in terms of third person. That should not be there. Okay, throughout your paper, okay, this tense, whatever the tense you have used in the beginning, that should continue. Okay, it should not be inconsistent. There should not be any kind of inconsistency while you are representing that. Now, your abstract. Let us look at what exactly you need to write in your abstract. Your abstract needs to tell a story too. Okay, whatever you are thinking of in terms of problem, okay, that in a very concise way, you should be representing, you should be talking in terms of your abstract. Okay. As a research scholar or as a researcher, when you are reading somebody else's paper, what exactly will you read? Obviously, you will be reading the abstract of that particular paper. To find out, first thing, of course, is the title. If your title is appropriate, you will be choosing that particular paper to read. If the paper is appropriate, then you will be looking at the abstract. The abstract should make you interesting in such a way that the entire paper can be read. So what you have to do, whatever you are trying to write in the entire paper, that you have to concisely represent in your abstract. Okay. Most of the times what happens is abstract, usually people copy it from the summary. Okay. Whatever you have summarized the entire thing in terms of one paragraph there at the bottom of your paper, you bring it and represent it as an abstract. That is not a good idea. That should not be done. Okay. This I have seen in many of the papers. So that should not be done. So what you have to do, whatever you wanted to tell, okay, whatever your initial idea is, always try to remember when you have identified a problem initially, then itself you write down. Okay, you try to identify the points what you want to do it. Okay, those things should give you a clear idea about what your research is going to be. Based on that, you write your abstract. Okay, and then structuring your abstract in a way that it tells a story is something you can do for most journals unless they require something else. Okay. Most of the journals, 99% of the journals, they look at the abstract. Okay. And they want you to tell whatever the story that you want to write, whatever you want to write, or whatever the problem and the solution that you are trying to write in your article, that they want to see in your abstract. And that should be what it has to be. Okay. Many times I have seen the introductory part as an abstract for the paper. Okay. Whatever the first two paragraphs or first paragraph of the introduction, that part comes as an abstract. People think that because you are talking about the generalized problem, that particular part has to come. No, that is not abstract. abstract should be the concise idea of whatever the research that you are doing in that particular area, whatever the contribution that you are trying to put in. Okay, that should be your abstract. So people look at abstract. People continue to read the paper only if the abstract impresses them. If the abstract is not impressive, obviously people do not go further in reading your paper. Okay. Then you need to follow the journal guidelines meticulously. Whatever the journal guidelines are there, that you have to find, you have to look at. Okay, most of the high impact journals have their own guidelines. So go through the guidelines first. Once you have an idea of writing a paper to that particular journal, okay, only then your paper can be looked at further. Most of the times, if you do not go through those guidelines, what happens is, right in the first level of scrutiny itself, the paper will be rejected. As I told you, usually most of the times in these journals, there are 2 to 3 levels of scrutiny. So in the first scrutiny, what they look at is these things: whether you have followed the guidelines required by the journal. Okay. So if you have followed it, only then it will go for the next level of so try to go through the guidelines of the journal. Try to follow them absolutely. Okay. Every detail that they have given, how many, what is the requirement of the journal in terms of the word count for your entire article. Okay. What is the reference format? Each journal uses a different type of reference format. So you have to look at that. Okay. Even if the reference format is not matching, the journal may simply throw the paper away. Okay. So you should be very clear about what is the reference format that particular journal is following. Okay. And what is the order of the sections? Some of the journals specify what is the order in which you need to write your paper. Okay. Like I usually follow this particular mechanism. So most of the journals, they use the same mechanism, like abstract, then you have the introduction, then you have the survey of the literature, then the problem, then the solution to the problem, then you summarize that and all this. So this could be the order. Okay, some of the journals may specify in a different way. They want the introduction to be removed. They don't want any introduction to be written down. Okay, because they feel that the paper, the journal itself is a specific area there. Like for example, if I am writing a research article on data mining, I don't have to talk about the data mining introduction in my article, because whoever is choosing my paper in data mining, I expect them to know about it. So the same is the case with the journal editor. So editor may be thinking that he already knows it. That's the reason why he has chosen my journal. So he will be reading papers straight away. So let the problem be specified there, or let the research literature be represented, associated with that particular problem be represented. So like that, every particular journal has its own mechanism of representing an order in which this paper has to be written. So what is the order in which these sections are to be presented? That also. Okay. And some of the journals also specify what are the titles to be written. Okay, somebody, you may say abstract, you may say introduction, or literature survey and all. These titles, they may represent it in a different way. Okay, if you have not looked at that, okay, you lose the choice of your possibility of publishing that paper in that journal. So what are the titles to be written? What are the headings to be given? Okay, subheadings to be given. Even how exactly these titles have to be given. Like for example, if I am writing a table, okay, some journals want the table title to be given in the beginning. Some journals want the table title to be given at the end of the table. So in what way they want, that also is very important for them. Why they are so specific about it? Because they want to know whether you have really gone through their guidelines in order to publish your paper, or you are simply choosing a particular some journal and then represent it. So when you do not follow the guidelines and send a paper to these journals, these editors of these journals think that because your article has not been accepted somewhere, you are sending that particular paper as it is to them. Okay, and they know for sure because you have not followed, you have not gone through the guidelines and you have not followed their requirements as per your writing is concerned, and obvious that they will feel that they have been betrayed, and they will think that no, this is not needed. However good your article may be, they simply may throw it out. Okay. So you have to be very careful about that. Then most of the times what happens is when you send a particular article for publication, you need to send a covering letter. Okay. Many of the editors of the journal feel that if you simply submit, though you have online submission, even in online submission, okay, you put a covering letter to your article. Okay, and your covering letter is very crucial for many of the journals. Many of the people think that you are not even requested them to publish. So covering letter plays an important role. And how exactly the covering letter should be? The covering letter should be in such a way that you are speaking directly to the journal editor, so that why exactly your article is important for that particular journal, why they should publish. So this is what you have to talk about in the particular covering letter. Not about the problem or the solution and all that. Why your area of research in that particular article is important to the society or in general to the research scholars and why they have to publish. That is what is going to play a very important. So these, if you follow, it's obvious that people will be able to publish more articles and all that. Okay, so I think I covered quite many things in this. If I have missed about anything, you can ask me if you have any questions on that. Actually, I thought of presenting the entire paper, how to write it about and all that, but I feel that this time is not sufficient for us to go through the entire thing. But if somebody is interested in doing that, you can always talk to me. Absolutely no problem. Any questions?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. I'm Dr. N.K. Misra. Or
Yeah.
I have done PhD in mathematics.
Yeah.
Sir, can you tell me some free software that will help me to find the research study material for writing a high impact journal?
You want a software to be given to you?
Yes. Not commercial, free software that will help me in writing high impact journal.
No, as I told you, see, a research article when you are writing it,
Yes.
the research article should be written following these
Sir,
basic.
I'm audible for you. I'm audible for you.
Yeah.
Sir, as we know that because my research area is differential geometry and it is purely pure research, fundamental research.
Okay.
Regarding the software that you used earlier, that is dynamic solver for difference equation, SAGE for algebraic and geometric experiment, PARI for number theory. These are the software that you use for writing research study material. In the same kind, these all are free software that you can use easily when you write a research article. Sir, sir, I want to know, apart from this software, is there any software that we can use for writing high impact journal? If it is, please tell me the name of that software.
That's what I am telling you about. In the beginning, right from the beginning, I have been telling you that when you write a particular paper, it's a question of how you are writing it. It's not.
Yes.
See, there may be several softwares freely available to write a particular or put your entire writing in a proper order and all that. But that is not that's not the way to look at. Okay, because as I told you right now, in the high impact journals, what happens is they give you certain guidelines. You need to follow those guidelines. So from time to time, they may change the guidelines also. As I told you, if you are, let us say, for example, references, if you are representing, somebody will say simple brackets is enough. Some particular journal may say that you have to use a square bracket.
Yes.
Just because you have not used the square bracket in terms of writing your references, he may reject it. He may reject it. So look at what exactly are the requirements for that particular journal. That is what is important. Okay, this idea or this particular thing will not be given by some particular software. There may be softwares. There are plenty of softwares that are available, but those softwares are basically meant for maybe a particular journal. He may specify that this is the journal for which you can write. And most of the times, high impact journals, they go on change their requirements. Okay, so obviously you have to look into that, because as you know, how exactly an high impact journal becomes, or a particular journal becomes high impact, because of the citations. Okay, what are the citations that they are getting? Or what is your article strength, and based on that, how many people have referenced it? Okay, that's where the citations increase, and the journal impact factor increases. That's where they become more and more famous. That's the reason why they want a paper which is of high impact.
Okay, sir.
So unless and until your article has something in it, okay,
sir.
So that's where I am telling you, it may be a simple problem. You may have identified a simple problem, but the way you talk about, the way comprehensively you bring several different areas into your research, that matters. Okay. As I gave an example, like for example, power distribution is there. My area is not in power distribution. I'm a computer science person. So even then, what I can look at is, because that is a problem, what I can think of is why not I bring in artificial intelligence into this, so that this particular system becomes more and more intelligent, more and more robust. So that's the idea you have to get in. So if you have identified one particular problem, okay, how exactly you can bring this particular, or how exactly you can use this particular problem in different areas is what is important. Okay, that is what you need to look at. That's where you are.
It means, sir, I will interrupt, sir. It means you want to say certain journals. It means you have to maintain the certain parameters of that concerned journal, what they want.
Yes. You need to follow that. You need to. Otherwise, it will be rejected in the first scrutiny itself. That's what I said. Sir, usually, there will be 2 to 3 scrutinies for any particular research article for journal publishing.
Sir, same case I have done with me. Recently, I have published a paper in mathematics. It related to differential geometry, and research topic title was Lie group to minimum solution PDE. It was related to differential geometry. What I have seen, that journal I have submitted in Cubo, it is VCK list journal. It was not accepted. But same journal we submitted in IJREM, it was accepted. It is a peer-reviewed journal. I think this may be the problem that you are saying, that you do not maintain the parameters of that concerned journal.
Exactly.
It may be.
Yes.
It may be, sir. I think it may be. I think, sir.
Right. That's why you have to look into their requirements. Guidelines are always there.
Actually, when we write any journal or any article, at the journal that we submit in concern journal, we have to maintain all the parameters what the journal want.
Yes, every journal site, if you go through, there will be guidelines. Go through those guidelines. Try to check what exactly they want. And based on that, you write or you correct your paper. That is what is needed. Right.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Right. Okay. Any other? Arna Ibrahim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Doctor, thank you very much for Dr. Ramesh. Thank you very much for your excellent presentation. I have really learned a lot as an up and coming a researcher and a master student. My first question is, could you please share your presentation with us for further
Share it.
for further reading? Yes,
Yeah.
with
I
all of
will.
us for further reading.
Yeah. I'll try to find out through whom I can share it. I will share it. No.
Okay.
That I will.
Question 2.
Yeah.
Yes. Question 2. Yeah. Question 2. You gave us excellent 10 bullet point slides.
Right.
And each of them is well detailed and explained. I have learned a lot. I have to tell you a fact. In your last slide on cover letter, you said it's very crucial, and it's in your last slide on in your
Covering
last
letter.
slide on the cover letter.
Yeah.
Can you please hear me?
Yeah. Tell me.
Can I continue, please?
Yeah. Go to.
Yes, in your last slide on cover letter, you made mention that it's very crucial, and then also it's a make or break for you to be considered. So it means that it's a first impression, and first impression in everything is very, very important. How do we, as prospective researchers who want to get our works in a high yield journals, high impact journals, what should we include in our cover letter? I mean, the components of the cover letter. Can you give us any guideline concerning how we should draft it? Because it is very crucial. It is a make or break for us, and we want to learn it and learn it well. Thank you.
Yeah. Let me tell you, covering letter is a mechanism through which you can talk to the editor. Like, for example, if I am sending a paper to a particular journal, I want that particular paper to be published. I have to tell them why my paper is important, why my paper has to be there in that particular journal. It's something like selling yourself. Like, for example, if you go to a job interview, first thing you have to tell them is why you are important to them. So you need to know what that particular company is, what exactly they are doing it is, in what way you are important to them. Same is the case here. What you have to do is, in whatever research journal you want to publish your paper, first thing you have to look at it, what is the impact factors or whatever the indexing that this particular journal has, what kind of papers they publish and all those things. You have to look into that. Okay, 1 or 2 journals you take and go through the articles they have published. Then you will have an idea about what kind of papers they are publishing. Then if you think that your article which you have written is good enough to be published in that you have to sell it there. Okay, in your covering letter, you will say that your paper has this particular impact or this particular research impact, which is going to be very crucial for their journal, because they have been publishing such type of papers. Okay, you will be saying that since you are publishing in this particular area, and these are the type of papers I have gone through in your journal. Okay, my research in this particular article is on this particular area, which is relevant to your journal. And that's the reason why you have to publish. Okay, this is how you will be presenting. So it's something like, as I told you, it is something like you will be talking to the editor directly. Your covering letter should have that. So what you will be telling them is why they need to publish your paper. Am I clear about that?
Yeah, yes, please.
Yeah. If you have anything specific about that, you can always communicate with me, and I'll be able to help you. Okay. Right.
All right. So in summary, to what you said, you made mention that some of the key components that you have to write in your cover letter is one, why your paper is important. You should be able to convince the editorial board why your paper is very important, and it is very, very key. What kind of paper do they
Yes.
publish? That is referring to the company, and then the
Right.
type of indexing that they do, and then
Right.
you read on previous journals, and you have a
Yes.
fair idea of what they are looking for, so that you can hit it right.
Exactly.
Yes. And then your paper, how is it crucial? How crucial is your paper
For them.
to the company, and then to the company, and then to the target population?
Yes.
Good. Thank you. All right.
Yes.
So thank you, sir, for giving a comprehensive view about journal publications. The area which normally candidates, research candidates suffer is writing an abstract. And you have
Yes.
given a clear view of how to write an abstract. Then the question posed by Dr. Haruna, so that's I would like to add one more point, that cover letter will talk about the relevance of the topic that you are discussing. Really what is the relevance? Whether it is 80%, 90%, 100% relevant topic that you are writing about, which is an utmost necessary for the society to have. That's what I think, sir. So
Yeah.
your presentation have given a very cleared all our doubts, and in fact you touch upon a minute point on the cover letter itself. The first impression that would give a first impression to the editor. Thank you very much, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Ramesh.
your point,
Yeah.
your presentation,
yes,
your
sir.
presentation was quite excellent, sir. Lot of thanks for giving. I think it was quite excellent, sir. Your presentation was quite excellent.
Thank you. Yeah, Ramesh.
You clear me different types of doubt that you are facing still yet. That doubt we have cleared, sir, today.
Right. Thank you.
So would
Yes,
you please
Ramesh.
share your mail ID, sir, so that you can contact?
Yeah.
Very nice
I will try
presentation,
to share my mail ID. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Ramesh.
yes, sir. Very nice presentation, sir. I would like to know, if you need to write a paper, how much pages we should write. Is there any limitations? Because some publications, if they exceed the pages limit, they are refused to publish, or they insisted to pay additional cost. How we know the limitations, sir?
That's what I told you about clear and concise point. I touched upon that particular point only. See, when a particular journal says that your paper should not exceed 3 or 4 pages, what exactly they mean is that your paper should be concise. Okay, whatever you are trying to write, it should be very clear within that 4 pages. That's what their idea is. So if you are trying to exceed that, they feel that you are trying to unnecessarily extend that particular area. Try to first differentiate between your research article to the research. Okay, research article is so simply an idea which you are representing there. You are not giving all the details about how exactly that research went on. You are only telling about a problem and the solution. Okay, in between that, certain things you fill it up, not the entire thing. Okay, you don't go on writing. Let us say you have done some particular experimentation. You don't give the details about the experimentation. You only talk about the results of the experimentation, and then simply finish off your entire this thing. Except that you don't give the entire this thing. Once you start writing about all those things, obviously it becomes more than 4 pages or 5 pages. So you look into what their requirement is. If the journal says that your paper should be within 3 or 4 pages, their idea is that you are trying to represent your entire research problem within that particular 4 or 5 pages concisely and very clearly. Am I clear? So it's
Yeah,
not the question
yes,
of writing 6 pages or 7 pages and try to beat your chest and say that, see, I have written a paper 10 pages or 15 pages. No, that is not the idea. Okay, the same paper, if you are trying to put it in your research, let us say, in your thesis, there you can put the entire expansion of that entire particular paper. Okay, paper is always the concise part of it, not the complete experimentation and everything. No experimentation part will be added into it. Okay,
yeah, sir. I got it, sir.
right. Okay,
Thank you, sir.
right. Thank you. Kavya,
Sir, good evening, sir.
good evening.
I'm Kavya from Tamil Nadu. I'm a research scholar from the Department of English.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I have a doubt regarding publishers and publishing papers. For example, science students, they invent new things, they get patent for that, and it serves the society. So how can social science students serve the society through our research? And especially for literature, we analyze works, we criticize on the works of authors and writers like poems, drama, fictions. So how can we serve the society, sir? Can you please give some tips or guidance regarding this?
Several things that you as a language people can serve the society. There are plenty of things I can tell you. For example, I live in Telangana, where you have one particular sect known as Lambadas. Okay, these Lambadas only have the dialect. Okay, they only talk. There is no writing for it. So there is a lot of research going on in order to represent their language, to save their language. Probably as language people, you know already that in India there used to be around 600 or 700 languages. More than that, probably, maybe about 100 years back. But today, if you see, there is a limitation. There are only about 50 or 60 languages, and that too in terms of language writing and all those things. There are again certain limitations. So these things you can bring it out. Okay, you have to go to the people, find out, try to identify what are the different languages, what is the dialect in the different areas, why the dialect has changed, and all. So many things you can do. I'm telling you. And all those are, though you may find, though you may think they are not relevant today, they are going to be relevant after 10 years, or maybe 30 years, or 50 years, or 100 years. Who knows? So definitely it is a contribution you will be making to the society. So don't ever think that what you thought as a problem is not going to be relevant. That's what in the beginning I told you. Whenever there are problems around you, several problems are around you. It's a question of looking at the problem in your own perspective. And when you have looked at it in your own perspective, check whether it is relevant to the other people or not. It would be relevant. And that idea, you share it with your friends. Try to find out, when I say friends, again, I mention it again here, those who can appreciate you, those who can really think that your idea is really good enough. Okay, those are the people who can really appreciate. So if they appreciate, remember that your chosen research area is good enough. So don't ever think that your idea is not good enough, or your research is not relevant and all. Okay, never do that. There is, for every problem, there is a relevance in the society. It's a question of how you present it, how you present to the society. That is what is important. Okay, like for example, though I am from computer science, I write about education system. I write articles on education system, how the technical education could be. I write it because if I feel it that there is something wrong in this particular education system, I try to write it. I am 61 years old. I have seen the people who have completed their BTech or several other courses. And when they come out, I know that the kind of knowledge they have, very limited knowledge. Okay, they don't have the comprehensive knowledge. Now, if they do not have the knowledge, I obviously blame the teachers, not the society. Okay? There are in my city of Warangal, there are not less than about 100 engineers who are who are working as auto drivers. Now, I always ask myself, what kind of engineers we are producing? If that person is unable to get a job in the industry, what is the kind of teaching we are doing? So there is something wrong. Somewhere something is going wrong. The way you are probably teaching or the way the entire system is working and all. Relevant to that, I write a paper. So that is how you have to look at it. So everywhere you will find some problem, somewhere somebody talks about something. You think that that is a problem and you think that you have some kind of solution to talk about. You simply represent it. It will be definitely useful to the society. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Any other questions? Okay, I think we have come to the conclusion of this. And I thank everybody who was listening to this. I hope that my talk is relevant to the title which has been chosen. And I hope it will be useful to you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very useful, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir, for your valuable talk.
Again, thanks for that presentation.
Dear participants, we are moving to valedictory session.
The mail ID.
And now,
Yes, sir. Your mail ID share, sir.
sir, please share your mail ID, sir.
Yes, just a minute.
Okay, sir.
Here is my mail ID.
We'll note down if you attend it, sir. We'll note down, no problem.
Yeah.
Can't share that.
Sharing it here. Is it visible now? In the last slide, I have included my
Yes,
mail ID.
yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it visible, sir?
Yes. Right. You can mail me your questions if it is possible for me to help you out in that particular thing. I will definitely do that.
Yes. Yes, sir. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Right. Thank you.
Much, sir, for your valuable time.
Now, I invite Professor Dr. Balakrishnan Parasuraman, sir, for valedictory address.
Okay. First of all, I would like to thanks to Dr. Ramesh. So you've done a very good job, and you presented very well on the publication. Okay. Thanks for the chairperson just now mentioning about closing of this 3 days international virtual workshop. First of all, I really thanks to Dr. Frank Dyson, who is the leader of the president of the Lavender Literature Club India. Together with him is Dr. Regin Cam Comarin Trust, also co-partner with the Malaysian Industrial Relations Human Resource Association, which is I'm the president for this Mirha. I believe last 3 days, all of you attended online for these 3 days workshop on research writing and publication in High Impact Journal. For I think for last 2 years, the three NGOs collaborate with Mirha. The 2 NGO collaborate with Mirha, and I think we successfully conducted online workshop, and especially on the publication. There are various speakers voluntarily, I believe voluntarily come and present their papers for last 3 days from Friday to until now. And all of you gain a lot of knowledge and patiently to listen to all these speakers. I think most important that the knowledge that gained from here and will impact your own life. As I said previously, everyone have a role to play, and back to your university and start to think where to publish, how to publish, and how the publication can impact your own career, and also the publication also impacted your people surrounding you, the community, and of course go to the country as a policy makers in the country also want to like to know your research that published in journal. And I think publication is very important, key issue, especially ISI and Scopus. Please go and study well. And I think many tips already given by all the excellent speakers since Friday until now. And I think you all learn, and we learn each other. Actually, we are not come here to teach others. I don't think so. Actually, we learn each other. The speakers only sharing the knowledge, and we are learn from you also. I think most of you here all excellent staff, academic staff, and scholar. Some of you doing PhD, masters, and I believe that the future is in your hand. You decide your life, and you start moving today, and hopefully by next 5 years, you make your career meaningful to you, your family, and also to society. So as I mentioned before, the collaboration is very important from many countries I think involved here, and maybe I heard that Dr. Aruna from Ghana also joining us, and also some speakers also, and the participant also come from India and also Malaysia. So hope you all have a good day for 3 days, and we will see you again for next international virtual workshop. Really thanks to Dr. Frank and Dr. Rijen, who are the people behind scheme for this virtual international workshop. They are the one doing a lot of job from the day one until now, and I think all of them do hard work, especially for us to be excellent in our own career. So without their support, I don't think so today we can achieve what we achieved by today. And I saw the numbers from the day 100, and many scholars and also academic attended this virtual workshop. So I think continually we will do this for the benefit of all of you here, and you can join, and hope to see more publication from yourself. And as some of you mentioned that collaboration is very important. Any journals now, they want to see the collaboration work between countries, and I also welcome most of you to come and join our Malaysian University. The Malaysian University also can collaborate with all of university in India also. So with that, I closing this international workshop, and I really want you to go and rest. Malaysian time is say 11, 11:10. Maybe India around 9 something. I heard 9 or 8:30.
8:45.
So in 8:45. Okay. So in Tamil, I would like to say Vanakkam. Welcome. Okay. We'll miss you all of you. And
Vanakkam sir. Nandri sir.
okay, Nandri.
Vanakkam, sir.
In Malay, we said Len, terima kasih, and of course English, thank you. That's only word I can say. And then good night in Malay, you learn selamat malam, right? Say selamat malam. So malam is a night, and selamat malam is a good night. So in Malaysia, we can speak 3 languages. I can speak Malay, I can speak Tamil, I can speak English. Of course, a little bit I can speak Spanish because I've been there many times. So that's how in Malaysia. So if you come to Malaysia, see many people can speak Tamil, And even though they are Telugu, they are Malayalam, whatever, but they already speak Tamil because Tamil is a third national language, and also other language, Malay. No, sorry, English and Malay. So with that, I end the session here. Okay, good night and see you again. Bye bye.